Live. We're live. All
Yeah.
right. Welcome back, everybody. Oh, someone was waiting. I don't know if
Uh-oh.
it's me. Welcome back to the Paddler Podcast. I'm Ed Lockwood,
I'm Jeremy Scheel.
and this is our Wednesday night Paddler Podcast. So we'll give people a couple minutes to get flowing in here. Um, it's been a pretty good week. Ignore the pop-up ads on my computer. Definitely has nothing to do with the viruses on it.
Yeah, it's just a consequence of life these days.
Yeah. All right. I'll go ahead and start going through a couple of our announcements while we wait. All the links should be live, so everyone should be able to get on pretty easy. So there is a sale on Jackson Kayaks at Whitewater Warehouse. They're trying to sell their old models before they pick up all the new toys that they're ordering for this year, including a couple Antics 3s. Um, we have a Friday night pool class this week. That one is full, so if you're not a member, do not attend. But
Yeah,
um,
that pool is
we
small.
we are definitely having it this week, and everyone is supposed to be there this
Yeah,
week,
including you.
including me. I know it's a rare occasion, but I should be there. Pool sessions that are coming up that are just sessions, they're not classes, are the Xavier pool session and the Lebanon pool session. If you have any questions about the Lebanon pool session, go ahead and talk to George Davis. His email should be on the Ohio Kayak Instruction website. The Xavier pool classes, you can go ahead and reach out to me. My email should also be on the Ohio Kayak Instruction website. Or even better, if you follow me on Facebook, shoot me a DM there. I check my DMs a lot more than I check my email because I get notifications for my DMs. Um, so those dates for Xavier are going to be January 11th, January 18th, February 1st, and February 15th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. You have to be a Keel member, Keel hauler, which is a $20 fee for the whole year. It's a great program. They put on a bunch of tours and trips, and you should definitely go ahead and join them, even if you aren't coming to pool sessions. And then pool sessions themselves are going to be $15 to $20 per person, depending on how many people show up, or a bulk price of $55 for all four
And
sessions.
there's a lot of people asking questions about those ones specifically last Friday. So I
Cool.
think there will be a good amount of interest in them.
Okay. While I'm going to see if I can do this while I talk and share this to Facebook. Um, so I'm also considering doing a private lesson. I'm doing this poorly. I'm considering doing a private lesson at the Xavier
Just go
pool
ahead and
session.
type and I'll talk about it.
Um, that would be an hour, so we'd have a half hour free time and then an hour of private instruction. If you're interested in that, please let me know. I can go ahead and get that set up with you. The next Ohio Kayak Instruction pool class is going to be January 9th. That's at Fridays, still from 6 to 8, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay, 6 to 8. We're still working on the pool. We don't know exactly where it's going to be, but we will and as
Oh, we'll
let you
find a
know
pool.
as soon as we
Otherwise,
do
it's back
know.
to Kelly's.
Um, and then there is a Pucón, Chile trip
Yeah.
on January 24th to the 31st.
And I
That's all
believe
you
we
know.
have two more people who told me, well, one person on Friday at pool class told me that her and somebody else is definitely going for sure. So up to the max discount for the trip, which is great. And that applies to anybody else who joins. So if there's anybody else still on the fence or thinking about it, which I do know a couple people are, we should be at the max discount, which I think it's $700 rebate. Um, so that's considerable. So it's an amazing trip, and if you're inclined to go at all, it's a cheap way to do it, or about as cheap as you're going to get. Also, airline tickets have been a little bit cheaper lately, so not a bad time to book potentially, given the way the airlines are going right now. So things could change pretty dramatically, and their prices are lower than they were a month ago by about $400. So if you have any questions, hit me up with that, any of the different ways, and I'll let you know.
Yeah. That is a really cool trip. I'm very jealous that I don't get to go on it.
Telling you, man, just ditch everything and go.
I can't really do that. I don't know if you saw it or not, but Aniel is planning something big out there. He was standing at the top of some huge
Yeah,
waterfall.
I thought actually I might have. No, I didn't. I
But
I saw it.
that's in Chile too. You're not gonna run that, but
No, and
it does
especially
look really cool.
yeah, he's up to something.
Yes.
I cannot remember the name of that, but
It wasn't a waterfall that I was familiar with.
Salto Mall. I don't.
Salto Male or something like that,
Yeah,
but I don't think that was.
I don't think that was it though.
don't
I
think
think
that
it's
was
a
it.
different one.
It was another
Also, he's doing it in a Stux, which
a
is
Scux.
yeah, Stux.
But that looks like he's definitely running that sometime soon in the near future.
Yeah, for sure.
Looks like a huge one. Maybe not a record breaker, but a huge one for sure. We've got a couple new events to talk about. So we have December 6th at noon at Whitewater Warehouse. There's a frozen pogie paddle.
Yeah. So what does that mean? I actually
have
don't
no
even
idea.
know.
I think
Does it
it's
just mean
I just think it's cold outside.
it's cold outside?
And then Gerald is going to make some food for Whitewater Warehouse after that. So
Which that sounds awesome.
paddle and free food. I think free food. I don't know. Probably.
I'll definitely be going to that if I'm in town.
And then February 7th is the confirmed date for Eric's Whitewater race down the Little Miami. Hopefully we have some sick flows. It was really high last year, and it was definitely a fast race. If we can get even higher, it'll be even faster. That's a ton of fun. That happens. He posted the details today. That starts, paddler registration starts at noon, and then the race itself begins around 1 or 1:30. I can't really remember off the top of my head.
I don't actually know either. It was when we were all online and Eric said go.
And then February 18th is a paddler happy hour.
Ooh.
I don't know where
That's at Mad Tree, isn't it?
No, that's the gear swap.
Okay.
I don't know where at is the paddler happy hour, but there is a paddler happy hour, probably at DVD Brewery, which is where we have done it in the past. But again, don't really know for sure.
That should be on Eric's website.
Yeah, that should be on OKI,
Ohio, yeah.
and also his Facebook pages. That should be out there. Just don't really know off the top of my head. All right, so we've got a handful of good questions tonight. Yeah. Go ahead and start with. I think the best question is, what age can I get my children into kayaking?
I think it's definitely the most philosophical question.
Yes, I think it depends.
And I think it's going to be great because you're going to provide a perspective of someone who did it as a kid.
So I've been paddling since I was 8, in a hard boat. So I've been on the water probably at 3 years old in a raft, just on easy stuff. Like Paint Creek around here. Stuff my parents didn't want to get a babysitter for. So I've been on the water pretty much my whole life, and I've been going paddling trips definitely my whole life. So from my experience, my personal experience is it's okay to start at 8 years old. I think I am a better paddler for it for sure. But it also, I had a love-hate relationship with kayaking for a long time. So I think the best option here would be to do the raft and do the ducky or do the kayak without the skirt on. There's many options to get on the water and let the kid make up their mind. So because if they're anything like me, they will eventually be like, hey, I want a kayak. I'm tired of rafting. Kayaking looks way cooler. Let me do that. And for me, that happened around the age of 13 or 14, is when I got back into the sport. I was still rafting, but I wanted to go back and kayak. And I do know we have a couple of kids now.
Yeah, we've had quite a few
who are showing up, and they are around that age range, the 12 to 14-ish kind of crowd.
A couple of them are like 6 to 8.
Yeah. So I think if you start them earlier, there's definitely the benefit of they live without the fear because they're
So
little
to that
kids.
kind of point, one of the youngest that we've had yet, and I think she is 6 or 7. They haven't come back yet. So, but they're the ones that were running over the boat in the video
Yep.
that Eric posted.
Yep.
Anyway, the one girl, she could flop over upside down with the wrong hand on the paddle and
Yep.
hip snap back up with her left hand like holding on to the paddle on an onside roll.
Yes.
And it's just hilarious to see what kids can do. It's like, and then she was like frustrated by this.
Yeah.
She just wanted to swim. Like that was all she wanted, which is awesome.
No,
But so
kids.
she would roll for us
Yeah.
and then swim
Yeah.
as a
I mean,
reward.
that's what I would have wanted to do.
And so I totally got it too. But
As a kid, if you're the younger you start, the more fun you need to make it, the more game you need to make it. That's just a thing that I mean I know because I teach kayaking. 2, I'm a teacher. 3, I teach ski lessons, and 4, I taught swim lessons in general. Now, the ones that kids are always the most scared of are swim lessons because it has to do with the water, and there's a big justified fear around water. I would say that is when you need to kind of make everything into a game if they're that young, if they're 6 or 8 or 9 or even 10. Honestly, you should make everything a game because
I agree. Life's
it
fun.
makes it brings nerves so much down, so far down.
If you make it feel forced, I know things I didn't feel like doing. I wasn't happy to be doing. It was not a good net result for any of us.
So if you make it a game, you're gonna find greater success. But I would say do the extra stuff. Do the rafting, do the ducking.
Well, and that's how I got into kayaking. Like I never got to kayak as a kid at all. Period. Didn't get to do it till I was at Tennessee. And I always wanted to, and we rafted regularly.
Yeah.
Like I was first on the upper gully at 8 or 9 years old in a raft and had done it 30 times by the time I was 18. And but I asked, hey, can I kayak? And it's like, hey, we don't know anyone with a kayak. We have a canoe. You can do whatever you want with the canoe. This was a 16-foot metal Grumman canoe, which I did use on the Ohio River and surf barge waves with my dad. It was awesome, but had some angry barge captains quite a few times.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, first time I got gun pointed at me actually. No joke, but yeah, that's how I got into it. So when I found myself, in close proximity to the Ocoee, at college and had a car for the first time again after freshman year not allowing it.
Yeah.
That's why I borrowed whoever's boat I would let me use to start. But yeah, I never got to do it. So it definitely never felt like a chore. It was always, that's also probably why I started on the, Ocoee with no roll.
Yeah.
Because I didn't care. I just wanted to boat and I knew what was going to happen, but it is what it is. So yeah, I think not forcing it goes a long way because I had the opposite. It was like, no way I could get a kayak. We didn't know anyone with a kayak. Yeah.
There's also
I didn't have money for a kayak either.
Benefits of doing that is because you learn how to read water.
Oh yeah,
that was like great. without even realizing that you're reading the water.
Yeah.
I am a much better river reader because I got to raft so much, and like it's just simple stuff. Like it wasn't always like this is every tongue. You need to find every tongue in the river. It's like that we're going down a tongue right now.
And from a raft, you have such a higher vantage point too. It gives you a better way to see the actual features of the water than when you translate it to a kayak and you see those same hints of those features that are not so visible from in a raft or as they are in a raft. It really does help you as a paddler.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
There's a lot of stuff even from like kneeboarding and water skiing that I found applicable to kayaking in terms of just balance and turning and things like that because it's the same hydrodynamics for sure.
Okay. If someone is watching, try to leave a comment because I heard last week that people couldn't leave comments. And
we need the comments.
That whatever happened last week isn't happening again. So if you're here,
did we set it up for kids?
No, I didn't. If you're here, go ahead and try to comment, or if not, and you have a way to contact one of us, let us know. And then hopefully we can fix it. But if not, then it'll definitely be fixed before next week. Yeah, so I think that answers that first question pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, and then the other kind of perspective on it though is having brought my longtime girlfriend's son into whitewater from zero whitewater before I was introducing him to it, which was he was 10 and it was ducking the upper new,
yeah,
which and his sister also was doing it, Anjali, and so she was I guess 13 at that point. But she was in her own ducky on the very first go, and so was Beth. That was Beth's first go at it too, and everybody loved it. It was a blast. I took him in a double ducky for his very first one,
yep.
and it was spring, so it
Nice
was
and cold.
well, no, it was good sized waves, and Surprise was nice and munchy, at the very end of the upper new, so it was a good experience, but after that, it led to doing an Nantahala many, many times, as they grew up over the next 3 years, and then Rahul decided he wanted to learn to roll one Saturday this past summer, and we did it at Kelly's like we normally do. It took him all of 40 minutes to pick it up,
Yeah,
and within 5 weeks, he went from his first roll on the little Miami to the completely boating the lower yacht and assisting us with a couple rescues,
yeah, which is great. You
which
don't see
is
that
and
often.
yeah, I'd never seen that in my at all myself, and so seeing that and also being, responsible for him as we've elevated up. And Gwen English had left a comment on someone's Facebook post. I think it's yours about the Xavier pool sessions about making a Rivers list of progressions and stuff, and kind of leads into how we did it. But with Rahul, I started on the Little Miami at we had it was when it was storming during the summer. Like
Yeah,
his first, he learned to roll on a thunderstorm. It was cool, but the water level was up.
yeah,
So we started in Little Miami, 2 high water days there. The very next weekend, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was literally the next weekend, we went to the Tuckasegee and did the town run of the Tuck, which is a great intermediate or not intermediate, beginner run. It's class 2 plus 3 minus. It
yeah,
is mellower than the Nantahala. It's a great first run. We ran 2 sections of the Tuckasegee, and then we ran the Nantahala twice back to back, and then it was the weekend after that, weekend or 2 weekends after that, that we were all at the Yacht,
yep.
and he hard boated the lower Yacht,
Did
and
great.
yeah, he did phenomenal,
Lots
and
of combat rolls.
so he's been out since when he's been able to with school, because now he's dealing with the how do I kayak when
Yeah,
I have to go to school and band and sports and stuff like that, and it's like, well,
I've been there.
that's kind of never ends, man. Work
Um,
becomes work after
yeah,
school. So
never does. Stephanie, to answer your question, will there be an intermediate class in the spring for those of us who have done the beginner class? So,
Ye-
if things are like they were this year, there will be the beginner class again, and then there will be a fall class. That will be Monday nights, but
yeah, there's a but.
we are in the process of working on expanding our classes. So they won't be taught by Eric, um, probably, but it will we and Jeremy will be available more often than Eric is, again, because of the lack of familial obligations and kids and such. Me and Jeremy are available to start doing more and more
Well, and
classes.
there is one already planned and scheduled that's on Ohio Whitewater or OhioKayakInstructor.com,
Okay.
which is the Elkhorn
Yeah.
one that I'm doing,
Yeah.
which we're still nailing down the details of that. But Stephanie, that is an intermediate level class, and it's not gonna be learn to roll. It's gonna be you need to have it.
Yeah.
You need to know how to roll.
Yes.
And
So,
you'll love it. It'll be on the Elkhorn in spring, and I think we're gonna do either 4 or 6 weeks of running the Elkhorn, and the Elkhorn is a classic, class 2 plus 3 minus run at high water. It's like there's some class 3 plus 4 minus ish conditions due to water level, but there's some really cool features on it, and the dam has been removed many years ago now, which was super dangerous.
yeah.
No doubt about it. We used to boof it too, but anyway, it was a very dangerous low head dam that was removed. So we'll be doing classes on the Elkhorn. It's in Frankfort, Kentucky. If you want to look it up on American Whitewater, it's Forks of the Elkhorn or Elkhorn Creek. in Frankfort, Kentucky, and it's about an hour and 15 minutes from Cincinnati, depending how you drive.
And then,
So that already is happening. So
the
that will be intermediate and up because it's full of play opportunities. And then other than that, we're gonna be working on everything from stern squirts to whatever people are comfortable with
yeah.
doing. We'll see who all is in the class, but it's going to be aimed at advanced maneuvers, attaining up features and rivers in the river, and
Yeah. And then the other thing that Eric and I had talked about, still in the ground stages, is that I want to teach a class on Wednesday nights, and that's going to give me the freedom of range to travel and travel wherever I want around the Cincinnati-ish area, and teach those classes. So based on what, um, based on whoever's in the class, whatever's running, we're gonna be able to go explore and paddle a bit more than the basic Little Miami that we do, in the beginner class. So that's another one where we talked about prerequisite being able to roll,
yeah,
and that's gonna be, like, again, wherever, whatever's running, that could be the Great Miami because I think that's a
I
bit
I
harder and there's definitely more to do.
I think that's better for it.
Um,
Especially, I mean, you can even put in at
yeah,
Blue Arc
yeah.
Bridge and run that bridge rapid and work it
So that
for.
me and Eric had talked about that. I'll probably reach out to him pretty soon after this, try to get that hammered out. So there as tentatively options. There's definitely the Elkhorn option,
Yeah, that one's on Eric's website, on the Oki website rather,
and
and
we're
is going ready to, or we're doing it.
we're working on more. Um,
And yeah,
yeah,
chances are you'll probably see one of us, you'll see the other,
yeah.
as far as us too.
Um, so our next question was how to manage stress when you flip over. I'll let you take this one first.
Um, it this is, it's an important aspect that, like, we've talked about it, I think, probably every episode because it is so important, is your state of mind when you're paddling, period, and very much including when you roll. When we're teaching the roll, um, the very first thing after the wet exit that we teach people is you need to be relaxed when you're doing this, because if you're tight and you're tensed up, your whole body is stiff, and it does not lend itself to the body mechanics of performing the role, which it is 95% body mechanics. Everything with the paddle, regardless of what type of roll you're doing, is mostly just getting into a position where it can be advantageous to help you roll up. But dealing with the fear, or being uncomfortable while you're upside down in your boat, the best way I've seen is actually I never did it. I don't think I got into a pool until long after I knew how to roll, but it if you have access to a pool or otherwise just a calm section of river, which is exactly what I did, um, just go hang out upside down as long as you can and do it somewhere, if you want, or need to, or you're not feeling confident in your roll or your ability to get upright, do it where you can push off the bottom if you need to. That way you don't have to empty your boat a million times, because that makes life miserable, and it's all about having fun. So I've found, like, exposure to it, or just immersing yourself in the environment and being like, this isn't so bad. I can hold my breath for like easy 25 seconds, probably for most people.
Yep.
And come to accept the fact that you're going to be upside down a lot if you're in this sport. And I always think reframing the fear can help,
Yeah.
where you turn it into, and this helps a whole lot more when it's warm out and the water's warm, but if you turn it into, hey, I get to cool off. Like, I always joke with our kids, students, and some older, parents and stuff, that's how you turn the air conditioning on in your kayak, is you flip it over, and it gets a very bad dad joke, and I'm
Yeah.
not even a dad, but, it's, anyway, point being, the more you do it, the less scary it is. A lot of your worst fears are imagined. They're rooted in practical and very real fears, but they're very low possibility or probability of happening. And so if you take yourself into an environment where you reduce that possibility or probability to infinitesimally small, essentially zero, sandy bottom, shallow, friends with you, there's no chance, very little chance anything going wrong that wouldn't go wrong no matter else where you were that day.
Yep.
and then just hang out upside down for a while and roll up. Gives you excellent time to work on your roll as well, and it's really the only thing I know to do for dealing with being upside down fear specifically is just be upside down in a comfortable place till you know you're cool with it, and as you go through it, it'll become more and more second nature to be upside down in all types of different situations, and you still realize, like, you're very small profile when you're tucked up against your boat, and you're still at the surface always.
Yep.
Well, for the most part.
I would agree with that too, 100%. The best way to do it is to just get exposed to it, get used to it. You're definitely gonna find yourself upside down at some point in your whitewater career. So, it's kind of an empowerment thing to take control of it and
I
do it
mean,
yourself.
kind of as a point of illustration, every time we boat, I don't think I've ever seen us boat together and not be upside down, mostly within 5 seconds of getting in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the first thing
Yes.
either of us does, and
Especially if I'm, like, hiking somewhere, I'm
oh
super
god,
hot, I'm
yeah,
always rolling.
exactly.
Does not matter what the temperature is. Um,
So, yeah, just familiarization,
uh,
expose yourself.
I also like, if you're, like, a super hypercritical thinker, think to yourself, like, "Well, what am I afraid of right now?" Because, like, if I'm afraid of being upside down and being trapped in my boat, I know how to
Why?
get out,
Yeah,
right? Like, I
why?
can get
And
out of my boat in probably 2.5 seconds.
exactly.
If you're, like, worried, like, "Oh, I might hit my head on a rock." You could, but like Jeremy said, you're in a very, um in a very protected low profile, and also, you have a brain bucket on, so,
And
I
that's
mean,
exactly why we
unless you're
wear that
moving
gear.
super fast, that helmet is really good at doing its job.
Oh god, I have mine's covered, and
Yeah,
I mean, I've broken a helmet. I've literally cracked a carbon fiber one at Rocky Top Rapid
yeah,
on the lower Gully. I got thrown by a wave onto a shallow rock that I never knew was there,
yeah,
surprisingly, many years ago, but and it shattered my carbon
yeah,
fiber helmet, but I was absolutely fine, no concussion or anything,
right.
which was great. Um,
So just, like, breaking it down on top of just spending time, when you flip and you have a roll, you're so much more confident automatically because you know you can get back up, so when you don't have that roll, it's super
and
scary, and there's also the kind of the stigma in kayaking about swimming.
that's
You're
another
gonna
yeah,
swim. Everybody is gonna swim. The best boater you know is gonna swim again
and
and has
does.
swam many times.
And that's there's many sayings that go around, like we're all in between swims, and there's 100% true.
Yeah,
um B, the sooner you remember, like, everybody out there has been through whatever you're going through or whatever you fear being seen doing quote unquote wrong by more experienced paddlers is all BS. Everybody's been through it, and it's going to happen to us again, or we're going to do something equally stupid for the first time that we never even thought of before, or perhaps been warned about but didn't listen.
yep,
The river has a amazing ability to be the great equalizer. There's not much of an ego against a river.
yeah,
The river is always going to do what it's going to do, and it's your ability to really, again, stay calm and think rationally and do what you know you're physically capable of doing to work with the water to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
yep, for sure. Um, our next question is the difference between a T rescue and an H rescue. So a
Okay.
T rescue, this is the upside down boat. This is the rescue boat. They hit like this, and it makes a T shape. So if you're aerial, it makes a T shape. An H rescue, this is your upside down boat. This is your rescue boat. The rescuer, the rescuer is reaching across to the victim's boat, the rollee's boat, and they're grabbing
The
it
rolling.
and flipping him up right. If you look at it vertically, it's an H. So that's the difference between the T and the H rescue.
You may also hear the H rescue called a parallel boat rescue,
Yeah.
is what I always knew it as.
I
Just because
think
your
the
boats are parallel to each other, and it's not a hand of God,
no,
which a lot of people confuse or argue about.
no,
Isn't
it's
that a
not.
hand of God? A hand of God, you're reaching over
Or-
the bow or over the entire hull of the boat and grabbing cockpit coaming on the opposite side of the boat.
So I misspoke there. The rescuee is reaching their hands up and they're just grabbing the sidewall of the boat instead of the front of the boat.
Yeah, you're doing essentially the same exact thing. The rescuee does the same thing. They're just grabbing
and hip snapping, but
either the bow versus the side of the boat.
So the difference is
T-Rescue is much stabler.
The T-Rescue is stabler. I don't really know why people use the H-Rescue. I think it just from a safety standpoint, one,
I don't know either.
You're gonna be able to the best part about the T-Rescue is that you ram into their boat, not like ram full speed, but like hit their boat.
You know where you got hit
and you know where to reach.
Boat, right.
But
if you're just cruising parallel, and
I guess if you're cruising parallel, they're not gonna be able to see you. So
because I was inverted.
I don't really know. I don't really know.
I'll be honest with you guys. I've never seen a parallel or H rescue performed outside of practice or river rescue type clinic things. I've never ever seen anyone do one of those in the real world. And I have seen plenty of T rescues. I've seen quite a few hand of gods, but I've never seen an H rescue intentionally set up for versus a T rescue. So it is what it is. It's good to know as many different possible ways to help a paddler that is in need. So it's no harm in knowing it. It's just I in practice have not actually seen that done ever outside of a clinic or a class environment.
Yeah, I have heard that the NOC instructors like it for some reason. I don't know why. But
it may be
they do that down there from what I've heard, but I don't know.
I'm sure
I'm sure they've got their reasons.
Well thought out arguments all over the Wayback Machine on Boater Talk.
Yeah. So this next question is a pretty technical question asked by Mike, and it's a more advanced question. And basically the gist of it is, do you prefer or do you find that leaning laterally to the side facing the boof stroke to get the paddle deeper to get a little clean view of landing? So we'll start with that. We'll start with that first part of the question. So do you lean laterally to the side facing the boof stroke to get the paddle deeper and to get a clean view of the landing?
So the really short answer is yes, ever so slightly, because you're going to be taking a stroke on that side of the boat. And by definition, you will lean the boat several degrees along its roll axis. So to your side, you're dipping in, because when you're taking a boof stroke, a couple things with a boof stroke. One, I get why it's called a boof stroke, but it's really more what you're doing with your body while you take a draw stroke. It's just a regular draw stroke. You sometimes may lean a little further out just to time, because it's all about the timing, and get your boof stroke where you want it to get over whatever you're boofing, which you can boof over. You can boof on a wave, off the top of a wave, just for fun. Really, or to get over a hole if you wanted, but you can boof over holes, you boof off rocks, you can boof off small waterfalls or even semi-large waterfalls, but it's a delayed boof, which is a very advanced thing and really not something we'll probably talk about a whole lot here, but that's the kind of stuff Annie will be doing for that drop he's looking at doing. And so the main thing is yes, you'll lean a little to the side, and spotting your landing is good. And that's good in general in all kayaking, is look where you want to go, to include when you're doing like playboating tricks and stuff. Your body tends to fall where you look with your head. So look where you want to go, and that includes boofing. And when you're learning to boof, you can learn to boof in completely flat water. The point of a boof is to slightly bring up your bow and maintain speed and transition of speed as you come across whatever it is you're boofing off of. And you'll land with kind of a skip because your bow is up as you land. And the way you accomplish that is by slightly leaning to one side or the other and taking a draw stroke, where when you're taking your boof, you want it to be your paddle blade, then the water, and then the rock or whatever it is you're boofing off of behind that, in that order. And you want to finish your stroke right as your hips are crossing the object that you're boofing off of. And as you're doing that, you want to be crunching like a mini forward crunch. A lot of people think you want to lean really far forward and then lean really, really far back to get the most power out of the stroke. And two reasons you don't want to do that. One, when you lean really far back, you inevitably, well, not inevitably, you do mechanically put the bow down. You put it at a lower attitude. The nose goes down. When you're in a stern squirt, for example, and you want to get out of it, now you lean back, and it. I know, I have no idea what that noise was. But so you don't want to lean back. You want to stay in a good straight spine position, taking a strong draw stroke, and it's got to be timed so it ends about when your hips cross the object you're boofing, and you will be rotated slightly to the side and spotting your landing as you go. But I would argue that it's more important initially during the boof is to spot your paddle placement, your final stroke as you're approaching whatever it is. Like National Falls is a great one for that on the Upper Yakagani, which is a flare boof where you're going off an angled rock. So you've got another variable added into your outcome there. And this is where you don't want to lean too far to your left in that case while you take that lefty boof stroke to land in the eddy, because if you do lean left, you're going to go over it upside down.
Yeah.
You want to actually just kind of come at the rock that you're about to boof off of with as much momentum as you can, because there's a hole guarding it, of course, and time it for a just well-placed last left stroke to make sure you boof. And really, you want to come off dead flat.
Yeah.
On that one, you don't want to be rotated. So to answer the first part of it, that's
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think it also depends on the boof you're doing. So like Jeremy
yes.
talked about flare boofs, like that. You can definitely, the first time I ran National Falls, I ran it on my head because I was definitely leaning too far to the left.
And a lot of people do that.
And a lot of people do
with
that.
boofing.
It's a common thing.
And it is because you're looking for the landing when it's like you gotta just trust that it's down there.
Yes. But so I find there's a couple moves, a couple boofs where I will lean a bit more than normal. I think it's so alien boof on the upper Akoi is one where you can really kind of get uh steezy with it,
Yes,
as the
and
kids
that's
say.
because the rock is so if my fist is the rock, it slopes off to
Yep.
river left, and there's actually a deadly sieve down at the bottom of that, also, so you don't
Yeah.
wanna end up there, but it gives you your safe lip of leaving would be my first 2 knuckles here,
Yeah.
so to say. My 3rd knuckle would be getting risky, and my 4th knuckle would be you're in a vertical pin situation.
Yeah. So honestly, another thing that I find with boofing, those guys in the videos that you see that are doing like the oh yeah, I'm all the way over here,
The
that's
ear
just
dip.
that's just because it looks cool.
That's a
Um,
stylistic boof. There
it's a
is
style point. So
yeah, there's literally no benefit to doing that unless you're trying to boof off like a crazy canyon wall.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of like a skate park maneuver that you're
Yep.
gonna do on like the Rio Claro, maybe, and that's
Yes.
about it.
And then the second part of this question is if you're still leaning laterally, is to know when you've had an effective boof stroke when it flattens before you land. So your
So what
boof flattens before you. So
and I
you're
know exactly what Mike's talking about. So what he's
okay.
saying is he's saying if you're leaning laterally to start your boof, which again, you don't want to lean too far laterally for the reasons we discussed, but your goal really is to make sure that you're going to be coming off of whatever you're boofing and able to flatten your hull back out to land on the water in a flat position so you don't flip over.
So the best way to sorry, back for Mike's question.
But yeah, what was the last part of
when it flattens you out before you
So
land?
the reason you want to flatten out is for the skip. So, and if you guys watch some of the pro boaters out there,
Yes.
like Dane's videos, for example, Jackson,
Yeah.
if I
In
have to
case you
say
don't know,
that,
yeah.
if you don't know, um, but he loves, and I mean, he's excellent at everything, but he really can get boats to skip out of the bottom of drops so
Yep.
well because his timing is so dialed in. But the skip means your boat doesn't submerge, and that's why you need your bow up. That's the whole point of the boof, is so that when you land, you're going over the hole or recirculation at the bottom of whatever it is, or you're boofing over rocks
Yep.
sometimes, or other obstacles. But point is that you don't want to be in said obstacle nor pulled back into it by coming off of the boof with not enough speed or momentum. So it's the boof is really about a lot of things, and then the stroke, it's all about the timing. It's just a
Yeah.
draw stroke. It's if you do the ear dip, the real far lean thing, it's just a style points move. It's cool, but it's opening your face. Remember, the lip of things you're booping off of is almost always extremely shallow,
Yeah.
inches. So if you're leaning really far to one side trying to dip your ear in, just be aware it's high risk of impact with your face.
Yeah.
Um,
So I was gonna say that the skip is how you know you have a good boof,
and
not
that is the
not when you
answer.
land flat.
Well,
You'll if you don't know what we're talking about when we say skip, you'll know it when you feel it for the first time. I mean, it's like butter. It's one of the most satisfying things ever.
and the name boof comes from the sound your boat makes when you do it properly, which
Yeah.
is not going to help Mike. And Mike, I'm sorry about that, but I know there's nothing nothing any of us can do, but you probably feel it on a
Yeah.
vibratory level in a way none of us can perceive. So I hope that is the case, and I'm sure it is actually. But I'm sure you can feel it when you get a good boof versus not a good boof, because the resonance will be more in tune,
Yeah.
literally, more
Uh,
perfect vibrations. But it makes the noise boof, kind of when you land, because you're hitting the pretty hard with your boat. And you never also just the one thing I wanted to get across at the end of this is don't ever land flat on boofs in
yes.
terms of having the boat flat to the water, like doing a belly smacker or off a diving board, because it's the same result, but all that force gets transferred up your spine. And one of my friends broke his back and didn't even know it, but was in a lot of pain and found out it was broke shortly after, on a very small drop compared to all the other ones we were doing. And he just landed on the green water, which is laminar flow water, which is not aerated.
Yeah.
And that means when you hit, it's a hard hit. And he landed flat, and it um, compression fractured one of his spine.
Yeah. So Mitch did say you can see it really well in GoPro video, which is true.
Oh,
It's when
yeah,
your
for
bow is
sure.
like up
Yeah.
and kind of like this, and you can kind of see that they're skirting across the bubble.
It
Really.
is, and that's why your boat has, and that's why most modern boats have so much rocker,
Yeah.
is to facilitate getting that skip. Because if you try and do it in like a a perception dancer or
Yeah.
something like that, like you plug, it's impossible.
Yeah.
The hull's not shaped to do it that way, but
By the way, Mitch, how was your Chioa PFD? You should tell us about that.
yeah, you should.
And then there
Shio
was
is an awesome
a
run.
comment by Magical Unicorn. I saw it. That was they deleted it, but we're gonna put you out there anyway.
It was retracted.
Um, so the comment was, what's the best way to practice a boof? So
Oh,
it
yeah.
depends on where you want to practice. I think you can do it in flat water pretty easily
Yep,
by taking your stroke,
anywhere.
and then you go kind of it's kind of like the best way to describe it is like a little hip thrust.
It is. It's
Um,
do your best Elvis
and then so
impersonation.
you're taking your stroke and you're doing a little
Get
hip
funky with
thrust,
it.
and that's just the best way to practice engaging the front of your boat and then picking it back up. So that's kind of what the boof looks like, is like
Yeah.
you're going down and up, right? And the best way to do that, the best way to learn it, best way to do that core engagement is to do just a little hip thrust.
And then usually the other place I would go immediately to, when practice it in flat water for sure.
Yeah.
But any little wave train or big wave train
Yeah.
is excellent. The reason is because you've got a ramp, so
Yep.
if you boofed or not. And
Yes.
it's extremely clear, and it's also a whole lot of fun, to be
And
honest.
if you have the opportunity to get to ledges or anything like that,
Yeah.
like even just a small tiny
Well,
ledge,
like Stone Lake, if it's
like
raining
Stone Lake,
here,
yeah,
Stone Lake is a great place to
you
do some
can
boofing.
go practice that, and then that you can actually feel like your little skip.
Yes.
But like I said, that movement, it's a hip thrust. You kind of
Yeah.
feel a little silly when you do it outside of your boat, but it's
It's weird. It's like a mini crunch forward right as while you're taking a stroke, but it's also, remember, the timing of the stroke is crucial. So if you're practicing on waves, you'd be wanting your stroke to occur right at the peak amplitude of the wave. So you're grabbing the back end of the wave. So it would be paddle, wave, and then your hips crossing that wave.
Yep.
You want your bow to be at essentially the same angle or a higher angle than it was on the wave that you're coming off of,
Yeah.
because your little mini crunch forward is what's going to raise your bow up, and that's what you're trying to accomplish. And then you'll land flat on the backside of the wave and just cruise right up the next one.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna give you this for our
Ooh.
3 emergency topics. So if you want to pick one of those, after the comment section, Mitch, I'm glad it went well. And from what I've seen of the Chioa, there is definitely some great booths.
Oh yeah, the Chio is like the booth run.
Yes.
It's man,
So,
that's awesome.
any
So
of those
anyway, we
3.
got it's when you were saying Chio, I was looking at that and I thought it's like, what? Let's see. What gear do we use and when? I guess because I'll
Okay.
just
All
go
right.
in order.
We'll go in order. What gear do we use and when? So last week I did show off some of my cold weather gear, which I used this weekend at the Tallulah.
Yeah, I bet you did.
But in cold weather, I use a Farmer John wetsuit if it's really cold, and a Shorty wetsuit when it's not so cold. I use a dry top when it's cold, and that's just I don't have a Shorty, so I either in rash guard or dry top. My rash guard is what I wear pretty much all the time. I used to paddle shirtless because I was a young stud, but I've gotten rock rash a couple times too
I
many,
still
so
paddle shirtless pretty often.
I wear a rash guard pretty much every time I'm on the river. That's either just like a uh, little swim shirt, or I also have this long sleeve one that is a sunproof shirt, which saves a lot on my sunscreen
Yeah,
usage.
that's one reason I do wear them
Um,
myself for summer.
My skirt, I used to use a Snapdragon reinforced rim. Um, and I recently this year switched over to the Klingon, the Immersion Research Klingon, because I'm running bigger stuff now, and I want my skirt to stay on my boat. Is the main reason. The Snapdragon was also a little leaky, but that was fine because I play boat a lot. I need to drain my boat anyway, so it's not that big a deal. My life jacket, I used to use a Stolquist,
Descent.
something like that. Descent. It was not a
That's the
one.
only one I know
It
the
was
name
not
of
an
by
over the head
Stolquist.
one, so it was a zip up one, clip on one. And then I switched to an Astral Green vest this year. Um, one, there's a lot of people that say you need the green vest. You definitely do not,
No.
unless you're like actively
Actually,
involved in the rescue.
I'd
and-
argue it's not a good idea to wear safety PFD unless this is the caveat I have. A lot of people have them and leave all the rescue gear on
Yes.
them, which is all snag hazards.
Yes.
If you don't know how to use it, it's
sure.
adding risk to you. Take it off. Get a green jacket, rock it. They're cool. They're the best jacket out there for all the other reasons too, but just pull off the rescue harness. You don't need it if you don't know how to use it.
Yeah, and then helmet.
But learn how to use it.
Helmet wise, I use a Worcy Current Pro, or I used to use a Warrant Kersey Pro, and I actually just switched over to the Sweet Protection Strutter. The Current Pro served me well for a lot of years, but the Strutter had a really cool color that I like, so I switched. Main reason. That's every time I use that. And then I have 2 paddles. I have a kind of old beater AT Samurai, which is what I use on anything that's shallow, and then I have a Werner Covert, which I use on anything that is not shallow because I learned rather painfully that the Werner Covert can break.
Yeah.
And I have not had any problems with my Samurai hitting rocks, and believe me, it's hit plenty of rocks.
My AT Flexi 2, it was still I used it for 14 years.
Yeah, so I've had that Samurai for 7 years, and it's not any worse for the wear.
The AT's paddles definitely always were known for durability.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, I've got a brand new one. Thank you, Eric, for finding that with his Facebook magic. So I will not take up the better part of an hour talking about all the different gear I've used in my paddling career, just because there's been a whole lot of it, and we could go on all kinds of tangents, as you might have already noticed. I'm more than want to do. So current paddle get up actually isn't that different over the years, which is born out of rafting and Christmas sweaters to stay warm as a kid because we didn't have, nor were we ever going to have wetsuits until we stopped growing or could afford them on our own. Um, but I wear wetsuit bottoms and board shorts this time of year, usually like 2 millimeter wetsuit bottoms in winter. And then I wear a dry top with a fleece slash neoprene IR top that I really like. Cannot remember the name of it, but if you just go on Immersion Research's website, you'll see them listed, especially this time of year, right near the top. There's various different rating levels that they have for warmth. I do have the thick fleece one and a thinner neoprene with a little bit of fleece one. So I can dial it in a little bit. I do not wear gloves or pogies. Just don't like them. Just a personal thing. Skirt wise, I started with Snapdragon as well. I had 2 different Snapdragon bungee skirts, and they're super good enough. No reason not to use something like that, to be honest, until your first skirt implosion on a waterfall causes you to reconsider choices in life. I've gone through an IR Klingon or 3. They're great skirts. I love them to death. They usually last at least like 2.5 to 3 years. IR will fix them also. You just have to mail them back to them, and they're very good about their warranty stuff. So I currently am using my last skirt that's still not got a hole in it, which is an IR Royale, which is the Rand version of the Klingon. It's the red one instead of the green one. Rands, if you don't know, is a thicker rubber gasket that's built in and has Kevlar overlay on top. They're about 50 to 60 bucks more than the Klingon one. And the reason you use them is they give you a little better implosion resistance. Again, for like play boating or running waterfalls is the main places that comes into play for the most part. Outside of that, they're just harder to put on. And then cold weather, they're your worst nightmare. So it's not a case of more money is better. It's a case of if you are doing stuff where you expect high water pressure on the deck of your skirt that could cause it to implode, you may want to go the Rand route, and all the different companies sell them. IR has historically been the best. I was a big fan of Bomber Gear once upon a time, but I promised I wouldn't go down these routes. So Bomber Gear doesn't exist anymore, sorry. But if you find a used skirt from them, they're pretty cool and good ones.
Yeah, level 6 is a really good.
Yeah, I like
they
their
just
new
came
one.
out with a new
The new
model,
one
which looks pretty cool. Never tried it, but it looks pretty solid.
It's fluted. It's a Rand and it's fluted like your sliding glass doors would be on your basement to the outside.
I've also heard that it is like almost impossible to get on by yourself for the first couple of times.
Yeah, and also pro tip: if you're buying a new skirt for the first time ever, or you just didn't know this otherwise, put it on your boat and leave it there for days, even, and let it stretch. Particularly when it's cold out like this, it's better to do it when it's warm out first. But it is what it is.
You know what life jacket you use?
I do. I use 2 regularly. So I do use a green vest also, but I do also know how to use it if I need to. I use a green vest when I'm either in really big water because it has more flotation than the NRS Ninja, which is what I wear the majority of the time. So I think I only broke out the green vest on the Upper Gully this year.
I can't remember. I'm
pretty sure that's all.
Barely remember my own gear. So,
and part of that also is, I mean, there's not that much difference in flotation between the two, but I have had shoulder surgery on one shoulder, and my other shoulder is a little wonky as it is right now. And the green vest being an over the top, and the Ninja being a really small, low profile on the side clip and side entry is a little bit more comfortable for me to get in, unless I deem it a situation where I might need a rescue vest to help someone else, or I just want a little bit of extra flotation for me.
Yeah.
And occasionally the other reason is the pocket's way bigger on the green vest. So if there's like a long trip and I'm going to be bringing like food with me, I'll throw it in that front pocket, and the green vest is way better for that. But yeah, those are 2 I use. And helmet wise, I do use WRSI and have pretty much exclusively since my ProTech days. Mine is a current Pro, though I am using the plastic version now, as opposed. I've been through 2 carbon fiber versions. There's nothing wrong with it. It's how carbon fiber is meant to fail. Is if you take a hard hit, it's meant to. If it's hard enough, it's meant to shatter the carbon fiber instead of doing that damage to your skull, or more importantly, your brain. But it's the plastic one that I wear is more durable. It is heavier. That's your trade-off.
Yeah.
But because of the Little Miami in particular and all the stuff we do out there, I decided to go with that because I do spend so much time getting, in situations where I'm getting hit or in the head by small rocks at low velocity. It's not worth beating up a carbon fiber helmet over.
So. I did not put any new scratches in my helmet this weekend, so it's still new. That's a good feeling.
That's an awesome feeling. Paddle wise, I use a hardcore paddle.
You're just a one paddle guy, right?
Well, yeah, I used an AT Flexi 2 that after I broke my very first paddle, which was a Aquabound Shred Ready, or Shred, not Shred Ready. That's a boat, but or helmet company. I had an Aquabound Shred. I broke the right blade off right before I got to the lip of Frank's Bells on the French Broad, which Stephanie in the chat was just on and had an awesome first descent on that, and several other rivers that she was telling me about. Super stoked to hear that, Stephanie. Way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, long story long, I broke that paddle blade off. The very next day, I found an AT Flexi 2 buried under the rocks on the Chattooga, took it around all of the outfitters. There's no name on it. They're like, it's yours, keep it. That's the paddle I was using when I met you. I finally had to stop because it has lost all the foam core and needs completely replaced the right blade. But then Eric found me another AT Flexi 2 at the beginning of the year, but it was a month after I switched to that hardcore paddle. And I had already got used to it, so now I'm paddling that till I kill it, and I'll go back to AT.
You also tape your paddle blades, but the shaft.
Yes, I do tape the shaft.
I do not, because I use a bent shaft and have since I've gotten back into it, and that for me, it's enough to know where my hands need to go.
So it's partially for indexing for me, which is a fancy way of saying know where your hands go. It's partly habit out of back in the day of using an Odachi when I play boated.
Yep.
More often because I just thought it was slick. Like, to me, it was slick. Yeah. So I put the tape on it anyway. But then I started to notice that latex self-adhesive tape that I always use, the reason it bunches up the way it does is from me always moving my hands along it. And I found it like I could see patterns in my paddling from how the tape was bunched. And so I left it and noticed like the ridges had separations between them that were kind of like my left hand is way, way more so than my right hand because my left hand's sliding more, right?
Yeah.
Because my right hand's my driving hand.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just out of habit still do it. But that hardcore paddle in particular was also coated with something quite slick.
Yeah.
So I needed it for it. Hasn't actually, it's still pretty slick. So
does anyone have an Aquabound in the chat? Because I know that Aquabound has this weird sticky stuff that goes away when it gets wet, but like touching it when it's dry is really weird because it's like almost like a glue.
So Kyle has an Aquabound aerial, and I know what you're talking about from just trying his out when he got it. And that's that one with the blue blades they came out with last year. And I know it does. It's very interesting. It works when it's wet, but when it's dry, it's not weird. Sticky.
And then Eric just bought a. Do you remember what that paddle's called? It's called a Vulcan, but I don't remember the brand.
No, I do. It's oh my god, I feel terrible for forget. Yeah, it's North Carolina. Homegrown operation out of a garage. ArcaWorks, ARCA Works.
They have ArcaWorks. The ArcaWorks Vulcan, and actually all the ArcaWorks paddles have a little grip on the right hand.
Yes, they have, and it's padded out too. Like
I think it's a little sandpapery, but
so
to each their own.
For me, that's too much. Kind of like bridge the gap. Like I'm cool with my tape, but that thing is uncomfortable to me. I like the paddle a lot. I just would sand down that hump because it's a bit much for me.
Yeah. for
Or
sure.
maybe I'd get used to it, who knows? But
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super picky. The only
all the
reason
paddles I've had haven't had a lump, so
yeah,
it's
the only reason I use bent shaft is because
I've always used bench shaft
I when I got back
except
into it,
for the
the
shred.
only paddle that we didn't so when I first started, the only paddles my parents had were like 90-degree offsets.
Yes.
So,
Those are the
um,
coolest.
so
They
I
make
used to
rolling so easy.
I used to learn with a 90-degree offset, and the only paddle that we did not have that was a nine not that wasn't a 90-degree offset was a besides ones that were already claimed, um, was a bent shaft AT kids paddle, that my dad had gotten for my mom that was too small for her. So I started using that, and that was like a 15 degree, and that was so much better than the 90 degree.
Oh god, 90 you don't want 90 so if you guys don't know, the reason they're feathered in the first place like that is so that the blade that's up in the air doesn't catch the wind. That's the reason they did the 90-degree
Yeah,
offsets, which it does make sense. If you ever paddled in a lot of wind, it does push you around.
yeah,
Definitely
for sure.
your paddle blade acts like a sail. But I've always used other than my Aquabound shred because I found an AT Flexi 2 the next day, I've always used bent shaft as
Yeah.
well.
All right, that's about our hour, so I'll go ahead and start wrapping up with our general announcements here.
Yeah.
Um, so January 24th, there's a gear swap at Matry Brewery. This is an all sports gear swap. That's including like skiing, kayaking, mountain biking, climbing, all sorts of stuff. There's people selling stuff there for great deals. I got like 3 wetsuits for $15 last year, so that's pretty great.
That is. Stephanie had, texted me a good comment about the H rescue, which is valid. I just,
Yeah, so
I still don't know how you'd make
quickly, Stephanie has said an H rescue can be good if you have a high rocker, which is harder to reach from the front of your boat in a T
and
rescue.
I agree.
So that is true. I have an Antics, and that is actually kind of hard to T rescue off of. And then that purple boat, my Mobius. If I point, yeah, like
Yep.
that.
Well, and
Um,
then the free ride is scooped, like, kinda like anybody who was in class with us knows, like me, Nicole,
yes.
and then eventually Mike as well have Novas, and if you were ever hip snapping off our boats, the bow is in the
Yeah.
water.
So
Um,
it still comes to the problem is how do I let the swimmer know that I'm
that's
there?
yeah, that's the
Um,
part that seems tricky. I guess you kinda just knock
like
on
yeah,
their boat,
like here
like,
I am. I don't know. Like I said, I still kind of just prefer the T rescue.
I've, again, not seen it in the wild, but
Um,
good to know, and very valid point by Stephanie.
so January 24th at Matry Gear Swap, gonna be a great time. You guys should definitely go. There will be a Swiftwater rescue course on April 18th through the 19th. It's gonna be a 2-day thing that happens at Whitewater Warehouse. Um, and then we have the Cuyahoga Falls Fest on April 25th. And to revisit our important Ohio kayak instruction dates, we have a pool class starting January 9th. Um, I believe registration is open for that on the Ohio Kayak Instruction website. We have the Frozen Pogie Paddle at Whitewater Warehouse on December 6th. February 7th is the kayak race. And
Oh, hey,
then,
just a heads up too. I just saw this and was just talking with Josh Trapp about it yesterday. There is a boater cross race at Buck Creek
oh, yeah.
with TJ. It's TJ
Yeah.
and Water Safe
I did see
Ohio
that.
is doing a boater cross race at Buck Creek at the Snyder Park area of Buck Creek.
Yeah.
So they've done a lot of cleanup there as well this year. So I mean, he's the water
Less
safe guy,
needles.
so I'll take his word for it.
But yeah.
But that's
Um,
next, not this weekend, but next weekend, and it's on Facebook,
yeah.
if you're looking for that one.
That would be a ton of fun.
Yeah,
You should definitely go support Water Safe. It's a great company. TJ's a great guy.
I'll probably end up
Um,
there.
I don't know where I'll be, but I'll be around somewhere. Um, and then as far as giveaways we've got going right now, we have the Strava challenges, which is still active on the Little Miami from Kelly's Nature Preserve to Jim Terrell Park. The fastest time will get a cash prize on February 7th, which is the race day. And then honestly, I have no idea about this last one, but it's still in my notes. We have 3 things at Whitewater Warehouse that
Oh,
come
yeah,
with a purchase, maybe.
we don't know what they are
We don't know
either,
what they are. We don't
but
know
I
if
need
they're
a
there.
skirt and,
Uh,
so
so You should just go buy something from White
Yeah.
Warehouse
If I
if
lived in
you
Dayton,
you should.
I'd buy a carabiner and get
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like, there's
Um,
no as far as we're aware, there's no limit to the price. So,
yeah, no idea.
you can buy a whistle.
So, yeah, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Go ahead and do the YouTube things. It really supports Eric's
Yeah.
channel.
What are the
There, like, comment,
yeah,
and
like, comment, and
subscribe.
subscribe, and hit the bell.
Hit the bell
Hit the
icon
bell
so you'll
icon.
never miss an Ed and Jeremy live stream or Eric short.
And just think, you guys will all have been here since the humble beginnings.
Yeah.
When this turns into, like us with like tigers in the background.
Yeah,
at
yeah, for
our,
sure.
like
When we get out of the
at our
basement.
Chilean like
Yeah,
retreat
yeah.
on the side of the
Um,
volcano.
But seriously, that does help Eric a lot.
It does.
It helps get his content out to more and more people. It helps us grow the community, which, like I said last week, is our ultimate goal.
And it helps you guys
for
not
this.
have to deal with Facebook
Yes.
not working.
Yes,
And us.
this is much better than the Facebook Live.
It is.
It's a lot more fun for us to do on YouTube because it works just a lot better.
And we will have guests coming up probably after the holidays.
Yes. Oh, that's another important announcement. We are not doing this next week. Go spend time with your families. It's Thanksgiving. We are going to take some time off for the holidays. So hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving and a good next week. I think that's all for me.
Yeah, that's it.
All
We'll
right.
be back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll
and
see you guys on the river.
yeah, we'll catch you out there.
Thanks for joining. Shut up. Yeah, look at that.
We got sound effects.
Yeah.